Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to see so many friendly faces this morning. Today is the Bellevue-Harpeth Chamber's Breakfast Before Business meeting, and we are very excited to have Dr. Adrienne Battle as our keynote speaker today. If you would give us just a few moments, we're going to do some chamber announcements and introduce some folks, and then we'll get started with Dr. Battle. My name is Amy Napoli. I'm the CEO of the Bellevue-Harpeth Chamber of Commerce, and at this time I would like to introduce our chamber president, Jim Plasko, and Jim is going to say a few words.
Morning, everybody. Thanks, Amy. Yes, my name is Jim Plasko, and officially now I am this term's president of the chamber, and very honored and thrilled to be trying to support this organization through the next fiscal year. I wanted to take a few moments to make sure those of you who are watching who aren't familiar, because we weren't able to meet during the normal changing of the board, knew that the executive committee had some changes. Obviously, Alan Thompson had finished his long-term run on the executive committee. Steve Bloom will be moving from the president to the immediate past president position. Diana Cook and Chad Crow will be retaining their roles as treasurer and secretary respectively. And Heather Warmbroad is joining us as the new incoming president, who will be taking over after my term next July. So just wanted you to be familiar with those names as we look at the executive leadership for the group. And we're very honored to have the new members of the board and such great enthusiasm during a challenging time where we're very excited about what can we do to help those Bellevue businesses be better and greater than they've ever been before. And thinking of those Bellevue businesses, I want to take a moment to acknowledge our sponsors. Sponsorships is so critical to making sure we can do all the work we are expected to do and we demand of ourselves throughout the community. Those community level sponsors, which are the highest level, taking the leadership position of sponsoring our groups and leading our organization, Nashville Christian School and NHC Place at the Trace. And we thank them so much for sponsoring that level. Our community champion sponsors, which is the second level, Parkside Builders, Seven Springs Orthopedics, and Regions Bank. We're grateful for their support. And our community advocate sponsors, Temple Hills Country Club, Clarendale, Westgate Enterprises, and YSmart Digital, always helping us with our tech opportunities. You're all great partners in this organization. We're thankful for you being here, and we are very excited for another wonderful year of supporting our community. Amy, I'm going to turn the show back over to you. I'm always here. Anybody needs anything, feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Jim. I really appreciate that. And we are looking forward to an interesting and productive year and finding new ways to bring value to our members during this time of COVID-19. And we're excited to do this virtually for everyone. And this is just one of those things that we're having to pivot and change. And we're thankful for the technology and the ability to do that. At this time, I'd like to recognize our presenting sponsor for Breakfast Before Business, Alexander Thompson Arnold. And we have with us today David Hart, who is a partner with Alexander Thompson Arnold here in Bellevue. And David is going to take a few moments to tell us about their company.
Thanks, Amy. As you can see, it's July 16th after tax day. These dark bags under my eyes indicate what's been happening the last couple of weeks. So we're a regional CPA firm. We have 14 locations, one of which is here in Bellevue. As I've said this many times, I've only been here a short time, but I really appreciate what the chamber does and how Amy's been really proactive in reaching out to the local businesses. And like everybody else, we're here to help and try to navigate, through these crazy times we're living in. And we're so happy to be a sponsor of this event and really happy that we're able to have it. I was hoping to have it in person, at Nashville Christian School with my mask. I had a designer mask ready along with about 100 of these things. So everybody take out your hand and I'm just going to we're going to virtually sanitize. But again, I appreciate the opportunity to be a sponsor and look forward to the upcoming year on the board.
Thank you so much, David. We are so appreciative of your support and your financial investment in the chamber. It is extremely appreciated and very needed at this time. So we do appreciate it. I'd like to recognize one of our wonderful board members this morning, Sandra Harris with Pencil. And Sandra is our education liaison, and she is going to introduce Dr. Battle, and we are going to get started with our presentation.
Thank you, Amy. From our youth to our leaders, making a better tomorrow for Nashville is a big job. And leading the effort for MNPS, Metro Nashville Public Schools, is the Director of Schools, Dr. Adrienne Battle. Dr. Battle was named Director of Metro Nashville Public Schools by a unanimous vote of the city's Board of Education on March 13, 2020, after serving 11 months as the interim director. With 167 schools and a budget of nearly $1 billion, MNPS is one of the nation's largest school districts and one of Nashville's largest employers. Dr. Battle is a Nashville native. She has spent almost her entire career with MNPS. She's a graduate of the district's John Overton High School, also a graduate of Missouri State University and Tennessee State University, where she earned her master's degree and doctorate degree in educational administration and supervision. Dr. Battle has focused on a vision of personalizing education for every student, improving school culture and climate, and retaining and recruiting the best talent. She sums up her drive for continuous improvement at all levels with the motto, know where you are, but don't stay there. She's led MNPS through its recovery from the devastating tornadoes in March of this year, and now leading us through our ongoing response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has required the district to meet educational and humanitarian needs across Nashville and Davidson County, while managing new budgetary restrictions. Nashville and Davidson County is where Dr. Battle serves. She co-chaired the citywide task force that created the Nashville Plan, framework for a safe, efficient, and equitable return to school, which detailed 3 scenarios for starting the 2021 school year based on community spread of the novel coronavirus. Dr. Battle previously served as a math, reading, and language arts teacher, an assistant principal, academic principal, and executive principal, a turnaround coach for principals of the district's priority schools, and as a community superintendent overseeing all schools in the Southeast Quadrant, as well as high schools across the district. She is an expert on school turnaround strategies and practices. She has served as a member of the American Educational Research Association and the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development. Please join me in welcoming the Director of Metro Nashville Public Schools, Dr. Adrienne Battle.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome, Sandra. So good to see you this morning. So good to see so many of you, some familiar faces this morning virtually. And I look forward to the day that we can all connect in person again. And I hope that day is very soon. So good morning again to everyone. And thank you for inviting me to speak to you today. Before I talk about our plans for the new school year, I want to say how grateful I am for the leadership of our school board member from Bellevue, Amy Frode, who has served as the board's vice chair this year and recently stepped up to be the acting chair after the passing of our dear friend, Anna Shepard, last month. We'll miss Amy when she steps down after 8 years of great service to this community, but I know you have an exciting election going on out here to decide who will fill her seat. So I will go ahead and jump into my presentation and remarks for you this morning. I'll just pause just a moment as we get the PowerPoint up. Thank you, Amy. I'm glad to have an opportunity to share our plan for reopening schools with you today. We announced last week that we'll start the new school year in an all virtual setting on August 4th through at least Labor Day. I wish this wasn't necessary, but strongly, I believe it is necessary to protect the health and safety of our students, our staff, and our families. Next slide, please. Our goal remains consistent in planning for and executing upon a safe return to the school year and accelerating learning opportunities for students. We have already created a website that will serve as a hub for critical reopening information and back to school content at www.mnps.org/backtoschool. Next slide, please. You know, to be honest, I'd been very optimistic until recently that Nashville was going to be moving forward with a phased reopening plan that would allow a return to a sense of normalcy and the safe reopening of schools. However, in recent days and weeks, we've seen our COVID-19 situation getting worse and not better. We know that our Nashville rate of transmission has grown in recent days. Scenario 3 of our Nashville plan calls for all remote learning when our transmission rate is significantly above 1.0. We also know that the governor has extended the state of emergency until late August. Nashville has been issued a mandatory mask order that took effect June 28th. And Mayor Cooper just recently announced a return to a modified phase 2 on July 2nd. And just this Tuesday, we saw our highest number of positive cases with 771 in the previous 24 hours. Next slide, please. Therefore, MNPS will be opening the 2020-21 school year with virtual learning for the first month of school. However, please understand that we are prepared for an in-person reopening as soon as conditions allow us to do so. Our virtual learning will look much different than Remote Learning 2.0 did back in the spring. On the slide, you see some of the significant differences between remote learning, which was our emergency stopgap measure as we face extended closures, to our virtual learning where assessments, accountability, attendance will be taken. We'll be providing timely teacher feedback. We will be utilizing a standard curriculum across all district schools, which will allow teachers to focus on supporting students versus spending time designing instructional content in virtual lessons. We will be providing synchronous or live learning opportunities in this virtual environment, as well as asynchronous learning modules. And we're going to more clearly define roles and expectations for all teachers and all staff as we enter into our virtual learning space. Next slide, please. Our work is built on 3 principles. Students deserve a consistent quality education, regardless of our delivery model. To assess all student learning needs, teachers must provide some synchronous learning opportunities throughout the week for each course. And schools and families must be provided flexibility to continue learning through a combination, again, of both synchronous and asynchronous supports. Next slide, please. Here are a few other details we've planned for. Again, the asynchronous opportunities for students to self-pace their learning and to provide teachers with greater flexibility. Those synchronous opportunities to ensure timely teacher feedback, community building with students and teachers, and to replicate in-person classroom experiences. While we might be starting out in the virtual environment, we're going to try to replicate as best as possible when opportunities present itself face-to-face learning experiences for all students. Our teachers will have 5 hours of teacher planning time per week minimum, with 1 hour of common planning with their colleagues. We know and recognize how critically important it is for our teachers to engage in quality planning. And we do also plan to provide increased SEL supports via what we're calling navigators or staff who will provide additional supports for students through regular SEL touchpoints. Next slide, please. One additional adjustment that we're making that I want to highlight for this team before I get into the priorities is that for the last several years, MNPS zone high schools have used what we call an A-B block schedule for students, where they take 4 classes on an A day and 4 other classes on a B day, allowing them to earn up to 8 credits over the course of the year. As we prepare for a virtual launch to begin school, it is important to consider the demands on students, teachers, and families of managing 8 classes virtually. So this school year, our zone high schools will be switching to a 4x4 schedule where students will take and complete 4 classes during the fall semester and 4 different classes during the spring semester. This way, they will only have 4 classes to manage virtually at a time. This approach will allow our students to continue to earn up to 8 credits this year towards graduation. 4x4 block schedules are actually the most common schedules that high schools locally utilize. In addition, we are also examining our middle school and elementary schedules to make sure that the schedules we establish are manageable for all stakeholders. Next slide, please. We have been purposeful in the design of the district's continuity of learning plan to ensure that we are accelerating learning for all students, supporting teachers, and engaging families in authentic ways. The choices have been made with equity of access and instruction in mind. Our plan truly exceeds the minimum expectations set forth by the Tennessee Department of Education because we're committed to helping all students achieve academic outcomes and SEL milestones. Next slide, please. We've used 12 priorities to organize our planning. They are curriculum and instruction, professional development and learning support, instructional technology, exceptional education, English learner and English language development, family engagement, assessment and evaluation, extracurricular sports and arts, human resources, internal and external assets, facilities, and personal protective equipment. Each priority represents an area of focus for the district that will be used to measure our effectiveness and hold us accountable. I'll talk a bit more about a few of these priorities now. Let's move to the next slide. The first one here is that, we have a large technology gap at MNPS between students who have access to their own computer devices and those who do not. We're going to close that gap by preparing devices at all our schools and distributing them to students who need them. We know that the mayor has supported MNPS schools through the usage of CARES Act for our district to become a one-to-one technology district. So we will be providing over the course of the next several months a new device to all MNPS students. At the end of the 2019-20 school year, teachers and school staff surveyed parents to find out their technology needs. We'll be asking schools, and we're already doing this with our principals now during our PD sessions, to follow back up with those families while reaching out to those families who were not surveyed earlier this year to determine if they still need a device or internet access. Those will be provided from the schools, as well as through bus routes for families that do not have access to transportation. During this time, while we're waiting for those devices to come in, we're simply asking those families or students with reliable access to their own computers to wait during this first round. But we have computers on order to make MNPS a one-to-one technology district. Microsoft Windows devices are preferred, but Macs, Chromebooks, and most tablets will also work in the Schoology platform. So we will be distributing devices to all students who need a device prior to the start of school, as well as meeting the connectivity needs of students and families in need. Those families who have what they need are free to get started. And then as we get the new devices in, we'll again begin to swap those out and get those in the hands of our students, because we have the opportunity this year to realize a long goal that we've had of becoming a one-to-one district. Next slide, please. Arts, if you can go back a couple. Let's see. And I'll keep going as you go back to the next slide. I think it's slide 11. Our support work group has been laser focused on building comprehensive family engagement plans. As we know how critical our parents, guardians, and caregivers are to the success of our students, we are planning and implementing some of the following strategies. We are launching a digital learning website for students and families, which will serve as a hub for digital learning support strategies, tools, resources, etc. We're also developing a digital learning guide for students and families outlining academic competencies, expectations, responsibilities, core values, policies, procedures, success strategies, tools, and additional resources. We're designing and delivering a family engagement series on supporting virtual learners. We're designing and deploying a social emotional learning or SEL-centered phone call script for educators to use when making initial contact with students and families. We're hosting a virtual open house. We're encouraging our schools to do that, and monthly virtual family engagement events by school for students and families. We're also implementing a family food box and school supply distribution plan and deploying a school level survey for families to capture feedback and ideas. Next slide. Now I want to pause for a moment and really talk about the importance of SEL. As a district, we will be prioritizing SEL supports for all stakeholders. We know that as a city, we have experienced quite a bit over the last few months, as Sandra mentioned, from the tornado devastation in early March through our response to COVID-19. And so with that extended closure we've experienced, it's important for us to prioritize SEL supports for everyone. And we will be kicking off the 2020-21 school year with a heightened focus on SEL supports, assessing needs and aligning those needs to the appropriate supports. So we have bucketed our prioritization around students, around families, and around staff. For our students, providing individual student check-ins by school staff. We'll continue to provide our telehealth services and really utilizing all of our platforms to engage with students to ensure they have genuine access to many of our supports. For families, again, we're going to try to replicate lots of the traditional ways to connect with families and to assess needs as we have in the past through back to school drive-throughs, making sure that we have resource guides available as well as other online tools and opportunities for learning and connecting. And for our staff, we're doing the same thing. It's important for us to pour into our staff so they can in turn pour into our students and families. One of the top priorities for us is really expanding our mindfulness leadership practice from district level leaders and school principals to ensure that all of our schools and learning communities are met with the appropriate supports. And we'll continue to provide online PD, professional learning, to support family engagement, trauma, mental health, and social emotional learning. Next slide. Now let's talk about PPE, or personal protective equipment. To be clear, we are prepared to offer PPE to all staff and students when conditions allow for a safe in-person reopening. We are prepared to provide masks for students and staff, sneeze shields or sneeze guards for front offices, face shields for all staff, disinfectant, sanitizers, gloves, thermometers. We will have additional social distancing requirements for all of our schools, cleaning and disinfecting guidance, and classroom design samples. So we're thankful for our CARES Act funds and generous donations from the community to ensure that we can provide all PPE for all staff and all students upon our safe return to in-person learning when conditions allow. Next slide, please. We will also be greatly expanding the services we offer as a district compared to the end of the 2019-2020 environment. We want to make sure every staff member has the ability to contribute to the betterment of the students, families, and staff we serve here at MNPS. We intend to open all of our cafeterias across the district, even while schools are closed, in order to prepare grab-and-go meals that will be offered at the school or through regular bus routes. There will be challenges and limitations due to federal and state guidelines, but we intend to be creative and innovative in making sure as many students as possible have access to the nutrition we provide daily throughout the school year. Many of you may recall that ever since our first closure that extended several times, we've been providing breakfast and lunch to all of the youth in the city, to be quite honest. Any school age student was eligible to obtain breakfast and lunch from MNPS. And so that program will be ending at the end of July. And so we'll be moving over currently to a new program that doesn't allow for as much flexibility, but we're gonna do everything that we can to provide those meals to our students. Right now, we know we can provide breakfast to every student, regardless of the school that they attend. With regards to lunch, we have a number of schools who do not qualify under the provisions that we're working under. And so we're going to be working closely we'll continue to work closely with the state, with the federal government as well, to really advocate for flexibility to do so. But if not, working closely with our school teams and our families to submit the appropriate paperwork so that we can continue to provide those no-cost meals to our families. Next slide, please. So that's a quick look at what we've been working on. Our teams are hustling every day to get ready for the year ahead. All of our principals have been meeting all week, actually this week, so they can understand how virtual learning will work and start working closely with their teachers. And what I keep hearing from the principals is a sigh of relief, because they're seeing how this work at our MNPS virtual school, which we're fortunate to have here in our district, and they can see that it is not that difficult. It's just a different way of teaching. So we have lots of work to do. There's a lot to do, no doubt. It's a challenge we've never faced before. And as I've shared with our team, and I've shared more broadly, when we first experienced our closure, we just didn't have a playbook for this type of scenario, and many districts face the same thing, but we're building one now through our continuity of learning plan to ensure that we can pivot as we face challenges in the future. And I think we can fully expect to see some changes in data and what our reality here is here in Nashville, and being able to provide a safe and equitable education to all of our students. But we are ready to take it on, and thank you again. And I'll end with that and pause to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Battle. We appreciate the very difficult and challenging work that you guys have had to do over the past several months. You know, every small business and every organization has had to kind of figure out how to navigate this situation, but I can't think of any entity that has had a more difficult situation to deal with than our public school system. So we really appreciate the diligence and the care with which you guys have thought through this process. And I am happy to turn this over at this time to our board member, Zach Heil. Zach, if you have any questions in the chat, would you please ask Dr. Battle?
Yes, so we got a good question here. Is there any extra services or options for the gifted encore students? Are they going to be allowed to work ahead at home if they can and desire to?
Yes, our current plan with regards to our gifted program is to continue our services that we've been providing to all of our students with regards to being gifted or encore services. And so our team is hard at work right now working through the structures of providing all of those same services in a virtual environment. So yes, our team is preparing and ready to go to ensure that we can continue to accelerate the learning of our students.
Okay, thank you. Looks like we have a parent out there with an incoming kindergarten student, and they are looking for information on when MNPS will be reaching out to them and when they should look to receive some communication.
Yes, and over the next days and weeks leading up to the start of the school year, you will begin to receive the most updated information to kick off the 2020-21 school year. We are right in the middle of our blitz for our enrollment for our pre-K students and our kindergarten students. Hopefully everyone is following us on social media and on our website with the most updated information. I know we'll be updating some new decisions here in the next few days, but parents should fully expect that over the next few days and weeks leading up to the start of the school year, you will be receiving that information from our early learning department. If for any reason you do not receive that information, do not hesitate to reach out to us. Our Family Information Center is up and running and standing ready to support our families. And that number is 615-259-4636. So if for any reason you have a gap in information or have needs from us, please do not hesitate to reach out.
Okay, thank you. And just a couple of house cleaning things. I know on here we've had a couple, and I think on the Facebook, some people asking about future communication of when this is happening. And again, just to be clear, this was a Bellevue Harpeth Chamber of Commerce event. It was not put on by the schools, so you didn't miss any communication from them. It came through us, and we are recording it. And we will have that on our website going forward. So if you did miss anything, we can look forward to finding it there and watching it. And I believe we probably have her slides as well that we can post on our website too, so that if anybody wants to see those afterwards, we will have those and they will be available. Going through the questions again, we got a question about the arts, especially music, obviously Nashville Music City. What is that going to look like online? Is there any plans for that? And then once it's back in, once we're able to come back, how will that look in the classrooms as well?
We are protecting all of our core instruction and our arts through our virtual learning environment. So families and students can fully expect that they will receive their core instruction and their arts and electives through the virtual environment. So the one thing that I will encourage everyone and remind everyone around is that while we'll be protecting those content areas, we are having to be innovative. We're having to be forward thinkers around how we can translate our strategies and supports for students in the virtual environment. So things might feel a little bit different given the shift from face-to-face to virtual, but we are definitely as a district prioritizing both our content areas and our arts to make sure that students receive those experiences. Our school teams are also diligently planning to ensure that once we make the shift back to face-to-face, so for families who choose to do so, that those courses can continue. And so we're building a continuity of learning plan for that reason, so that regardless of the family's option for face-to-face or virtual, they can still have access to all of their courses of their selection.
Looks like we got a couple questions, and I know this is probably what a lot of people are thinking and dealing with. Essential workers out there that have to go to work and now are having to continue to keep their student at home and teach them. Is there any extra options or any recommendations that you guys have and that you could help with that process?
You know, I'll be quite honest. I think as a school district, since we've expanded our experienced our standard extended closures, as well as with the tornado devastation, we have taken on quite a bit and tried to solve as many of the challenges that our families are facing to the best of our ability. When I announced last Thursday that we will be going virtually, one of the things that I included was understanding the challenges it could face, that families could face. And so with that, we have partnered with several of our community partners to share our plans, share our information, and to encourage them to partner with us to provide childcare options for our families. This week, we pushed that information out to our families and via all of our communication sites, so that families are aware of our partnerships. I know United for Hope is leading a large part of that strategy, as well as the Venture Science Center, to provide some options for families. But there's still lots of preparation that they have to do in order to be able to execute upon that. We've also shared information with all of our staff members with regards to some state options for childcare, given that they do fall under the essential worker category. So again, recognizing the challenges that are there, we will continue to work with our community partners to see what options are available, as well as sharing the information via the state to all of our employees who might also need childcare.
Okay, thank you. I know that's tough, but thank you for everything you're trying to do with them. Darla, I know you've been monitoring Facebook. Is there anything out there that you can ask for us?
There is. Thank you, Dr. Battle. We appreciate you taking time to be here with us. This has been so informative, and just as a parent, I appreciate all the hard work that not just all of our administration, but all the teachers are going through. Not only are the teachers teaching, they're also going to be healthcare workers. They're going to be doing a lot of psychological helping with the students and families, and we want to thank you. So we do have a few questions here, and I don't want them to be redundant, but I do want to make sure that people have been heard. How are they going to be getting their notifications for the future Zoom meetings? And I know that is on by us, but just a shout out to everyone watching. If you'll just stay in touch with the Bellevue Harpeth Chamber of Commerce website, we do post stuff like this. And as Zach said, this will be recorded so you can come back to that. We did post this on our site. It is not done through the school, it's done through the Chamber of Commerce here in Bellevue. And so keep watching our site. We do have try to keep a pulse, our finger on the pulse of what's going on, not just in the Bellevue area itself, but through all of Nashville. We really try to make sure everyone stays connected. But Dr. Battle, would you like to address that anymore? Is there going to be, for schools, will y'all be doing posting just on your website? Will you be doing posting? How will people know how to stay in touch with y'all?
Yes, we are trying to execute every communication mode and avenue that we can. As I stated at the start of the presentation, we've already launched our back to school site. Again, that's www.MNPS.org/back to school. We will continue to update that site frequently. To date, we've probably made updates daily to the website. I do also send out direct communications from me to families, to our staff. We do that via call outs. We post things frequently on social media and websites. So we try to get the word out loud and clear whenever it's possible. You saw last week on last Thursday, and I've done several of these just large scale press conferences to make sure that I'm communicating and touching as many of our stakeholders as possible. So we will continue to do that. Also fully anticipate, particularly because we're itching close to the start of the school year, to receive communications from the school teams, so principals and teachers as well. So sometimes you'll hear from me, sometimes you hear from the school principals, and sometimes that communication will come from teachers.
Dr. Battle, when can they expect or understand to be looking for when the schedules will be posted?
Which particular schedules, announcements or updates?
I'm assuming so that the parents can start, I guess that, and this is a question for me too. Will y'all develop and promote to the parents the schedules individually, or will they go and the teachers do that? How will y'all let people know that?
Yes, so our approach is we've created and communicated out expectations for the district as a whole. So our principals this week are receiving all that information and are starting to plan for their school sites. Families can fully anticipate with regards to classroom assignments and class schedules to receive that information directly from the school. So schools will begin to share that information widely to their learning community, so parents are informed and so students can prepare. And so while we are kicking off the school year in a virtual environment, timing is going to be pretty similar to years past because of the way that our schedules and our planning times work. So families, if you're listening, if you're watching, your school teams are already working on that, and they will be sharing information with you in preparation for the start of the school year like years past.
Okay.
Just real quick, Darla, follow up on here, I guess, for a little more specific. I know you said the district's just kind of giving an overview, and the schools and principals will get into the specifics, but we've had a couple questions come up about how much time can you expect for direct learning online, and then a more specific for the families out there with multiple children in different grades and may only have one computer. How is that working? Or do they need to get multiple accesses so all three necessarily could be on at the same time, or would they be able to share that?
So with regards to student expectations, we are finalizing a family playbook like we did in the spring. So if you remember the handbooks and the documents we provided back in the spring, it was very explicit around what an elementary student, a middle school student, a high school student could expect in the virtual environment. We're going to be providing that again, and those timeframes are going to vary based upon the age and grade level of the student. So just to kind of step back and give you the best way to describe it so that I cover elementary, middle, and high school is that on average, each teacher will be providing live lessons at the rate of about 2 hours per day. So when you think about how many teachers your students have over the course of the week, that'll start to give you a good idea. By state law, we're required to have 180 days, and students are required to have access to instructional content 6.5 hours a day. That does not translate to students sitting in front of a computer for 6.5 hours a day. For our youngest learners, they can expect somewhere from 1 to 2 or 3 hours of live instruction available to them in a day's time, but they will continue to have access to their asynchronous learning modules throughout the entire day and week. So, just to kind of give a little bit of an idea, when I spoke about the 4x4 block for our high school students, one of the shifts we've already made is for them to be able to manage and to be successful in this virtual environment is for them to take only 4 classes at a time. So they will take the same 4 classes every day with their teachers building out schedules for live lessons. Now, we also know that we have to create flexibility within those schedules. And so our teachers will be recording lots of their lessons and their tasks that they will be launching with our students in the event that a family or student is not able to connect at that specific time. So more information will be coming to families on that. We'll be providing sample schedules for elementary, middle, and high school students. With regards to connecting to those asynchronous and synchronous learning opportunities, I guess the announcement here is that if you are in need of a device, we want to know because we're going to provide you a device. So if there's one device and multiple students and you need additional devices, we are prepared to provide those devices to families. Please utilize and maximize the one that you have, but we will provide additional supports and resources for families. We will also be providing hotspots to families. There's only a need in most cases for one hotspot because those hotspots can take up to 6 connections in a home with devices. So we are prepared that if there is a need, your school teams will be reaching out. Don't hesitate to reach out to them. We will provide a device and connectivity so our students have access.
Thank you. Looks like we have one question out there, a little bit changing topics a little bit, and it's about the new school budget that was passed with the tax increase, and if you can just kind of recap quickly some pluses or minuses, and then I would add on to that. Being Bellevue and the new high school that is, I know we broke ground on that. Is there any updates or anything? I know it's a challenging time. Anything you could share with that with the group since we're out here?
Yes, with regards to the budget, some definite pluses for us is that we are able to maintain the 3% COLA that was granted to our employees back in January. That was very significant for us because without being able to maintain that 3% COLA, all of our employees were really facing a decrease in salary. Another huge win for us is that we're able now to provide a $15 minimum wage to all of our employees. And so that's something that's been a focus of our board for quite some time now. Compensation was the #1 priority for our school board that was voted upon. And so those were definitely pluses. But at the same time, I think we still face significant budget cuts as a district. We still, while we're grateful for everything that was provided to us for compensation and for other supports for the district, we still face budget cuts. And we still had to go back to our budget and cut around $15 million from our operating budget. So again, that's not a complaint by any means because we're grateful for everything that was provided to us, but we did also have to manage through a budget crisis like everyone else. And the second question was around the Hillwood property. I don't have any updates to date with regards to where we are. Of course, we've been, I think everybody's been managing to get us through this COVID era, but I'm sure that we will have updates in the months to come as we begin to assess our capital budget in alignment with the Mayor's Office and Metro Council.
Thank you. Go ahead, Darla.
Yes, one question was and about the new IEPs and how that is going to be handled, especially with the younger children in the pre-K program that may not be able to utilize their technology very well. How are y'all all addressing that?
You know, I mean, as educators, it's something we have to consider every day, regardless if we're in the face-to-face environment or in the virtual environment. So our teams, our central office team has been hard at work with supports for both our earliest learners and our exceptional education students. So that work continues. We will be shifting our students with disabilities, our 504 plans, over to what we call CLIPS. And those CLIPS are just essentially shifting what those modifications, accommodation supports are in the IEPs and 504s to a virtual environment. And so teachers and school staff will be reaching out to parents. And I just want to remind everyone that our staff is not back yet. So the work that you see, not officially back yet. Our principals are, 12-month employees are, but not all of our educators and staff. And so the work that you see happening right now is because we have an amazing, talented group of educators here in MNPS. And so they're giving of their time to make sure that we're fully prepared for the start of the school year. But as soon as our teachers are back, and we're already pushing out information and training modules are being created to support them, parents will begin to hear from their school team, school principals, school teachers, with regards to their support and engagement in creation of those clips. And so we've had lots of learnings from the remote learning environment back in the spring through the summer, and we're taking those learnings to expand our resources and supports for all students. One example of that I continue to share is that we as a district decided to provide our summer learning program, our extended school year program for our students with disabilities. And through that program, we were able to provide telehealth services, as I mentioned in my PowerPoint. And that was something completely new for our district and will be completely new for other districts who determine to take that on. And so we will continue those telehealth services going into the school year, as well as other expanded services that we're all having to shift and learn during this time of extended closure with our facilities.
One last question I do have for you to sort of wrap this up. So if parents want to volunteer or community people want to help volunteer with all of the schools, how are y'all doing that?
It depends on what area they're volunteering their time, services, and resources to. If it is regards to school supplies for students or teachers, Pencil has been leading the way. I know they've partnered with other organizations like United Way and MPF. All those partners are still hard at work on behalf of MNPS. And so let me just say publicly to them, and thank you, Sandra, for all of that hard work that's being put in and the thoughtfulness around what our students need going into the virtual environment. And so I would encourage anyone interested in volunteering in that space to reach out to one of those organizations or Pencil directly. We also have our extended learning program, which is being led by Jennifer Bell in MNPS. If you're interested in providing daycare options, co-op options, supports for students during the day to engage with the virtual learning process, please reach out to Jennifer Bell at MNPS. Her email is jennifer.bell@MNPS, and she is standing ready to support anyone interested in volunteering in that space. And she's convening groups bi-weekly to make sure that they have the most updated information and strategies to support our students. With regards to meal distribution, those efforts have continued. Our Community Achieves department is leading that work. The Second Harvest is also supporting us with that work. And so any donations or volunteer hours in helping us package meal boxes and food boxes for families are greatly appreciated. So don't hesitate to reach out to Second Harvest or to our Community Achieves team to get connected and to help MNPS continue to be on the move.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you. We need to go ahead and wrap up the questions portion. So thank you, Dr. Battle. We appreciate your time and joining us today. It was some very useful information, and we appreciate your leadership that you're giving us in Nashville going forward with the school systems. So we will, if any questions were asked that we weren't able to get to, we will compile them and we will try to get an answer to you and get them posted along with the video to our website. With that, I am going to turn it back over to Amy for a couple other announcements and to wrap up the meeting. Again, thank you, Dr. Battle. We appreciate you very much.
And thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Quiet clapping, quiet clapping. So yes, regarding the video, since we are live streaming this on Facebook, that video will remain on our Facebook page, and so anybody is able to watch it anytime after this is over. So it will be there, and if anybody wants a YouTube link, I will upload it to YouTube and email it out to you. And Tony, you did ask about the slides, and I'm assuming, Dr. Battle, that it's okay for us to share those slides?
Yes, that will be fine.
Okay, great. I want to thank Zach Heil and Darla Morrison for helping monitor questions today and for serving on the event committee along with me and a few other folks in the chamber. This is our first event since Zach and Darla are on this committee, and they've done a fantastic job of helping today, and I really appreciate that. And thank you so much, Sandra, for that amazing introduction. You did an excellent job, as always. I want to mention a few things that are coming up. This weekend, July the 18th, there is a drive up and drop off food drive going on for the Bellevue Community Food Bank. And that is going to be, there is an event on Facebook called the Drive Up Drop Off Food Bank Donation. The chamber is a co-host. So there are, all the details are on that event. That is going to be this Saturday. Charlie, are you still on?
I am.
Do you want to say a few words about that?
Yeah, there has been a huge increase in demand based on the pandemic and the situation here in the community. So Sherry Weiner, former council lady, and Hattie DeWalt from the Bellevue Community Fund have organized this event. Any kind of food items, non-perishable items, diapers are especially in need, but the whole list is out there on the web page from the community fund. I will also mention, on a sad note, yesterday was the funeral for former food bank director Joby Korn, who passed away from cancer, and her presence is greatly missed. Pam Walden is taking over and doing a great job. Donations are certainly acceptable, and that will provide some meat and fresh produce items to enhance the food baskets that go to our community members in need.
Thank you, Charlie. And yes, I was extremely saddened to hear about Joby's passing. She led the way for that food bank for so many years. She was Bellevue's Citizen of the Year in 2018, an amazing person and a sweet, sweet lady. So it's very sad that Joby did pass away. So we've lost a lot of good leaders with her and Bob Allen in the past couple of weeks. So it's been a sad time to lose those sweet people. So if you can't find the information on our Facebook page on the event, just search it in the events under the Bellevue Harpeth Chambers Facebook page, go to events, and we are co-hosts, so that should show up. And all of the details are there about how we can help the food bank. One last thing I wanted to talk about is our Believe in Bellevue campaign. The chamber is putting out for our community. One of the posts that we did before this, you can scroll down and look through our posts on Facebook, is our initial video for the Believe in Bellevue campaign. We are here to support our community. We are here to bring our community together. And this video was the first part of that. And the next thing you're going to be seeing are some Believe in Bellevue merchandise options. we are excited to have an online merchandise store in process right now, and we should be launching that very soon. And we'll have some cool merchandise for you to purchase. So please be on the lookout for that. I want to take a moment to again recognize our presenting sponsor for Breakfast Before Business, Alexander Thompson Arnold. David, thank you so much again for your sponsorship of this event series. And I want to thank Jim Plasko for coming on as president during this difficult time and working to help lead us through this. As he is scooting away, I don't blame him at all for that. If there's nothing else, if anybody has an announcement that you'd like to make right now before we close out the event, give me a little hand raise or holler at me in the chat.
In the chat, someone did mention the Hillwood High School weekly distribution for Second Harvest. So that is an option out there. I don't know. Did Charlie jump off? Do you have any information on that you could?
Steve, yes. Oh, yes, Jacob, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I am so insane right now. I forgot about Chamber Connect at noon. Yes, this is our virtual networking event. We are doing that the first and third Thursday of every month at 9 a.m., which is Chamber Connect AM, and at noon, which is Chamber Connect PM. So if you are interested in doing that today, it is on our event calendar on our website. You can go to that and register for our virtual networking. This is a great way to do some one-on-one relationship building and networking. And please join us for that if you have time. So anyone else? All right. Well, with that, then I think it is 8:59. We are right on the nose on our 9 o'clock stop time. So we thank you all for joining us this morning. Thank you, Dr. Battle. And please make sure and share this Facebook post and send us an email at anapoli@bellevueharpethchamber.com if you have any questions or want some follow-up from this event. Have a great rest of your day and see you at noon on Chamber Connect.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks, everyone.